So, um, if you're watching, I know you're seeing me shower fresh, but that's okay. Um, Welcome back to our podcast here. I'm so excited to be back after a little bit of a break. I decided today to do something a little more on the fun side. I have something that I've been kind of praying about, and I just want to make sure that I take the time to really marinate on it, I guess is the best way to say it. But anyway, today I thought I would come on. This was something else that's been happening, and I just thought I would share it. I thought it would be fun. I did a little bit of a YouTube exclusive. It would have been probably my first YouTube exclusive. And I had filmed it and it just wasn't working, so I didn't do it. So I decided to do it a little different, kind of intermix it, make it a little more age appropriate. I don't know, it just wasn't working the way I was doing it. So today we're going to be talking about TV shows and some of the leading men who are personal favorites of mine. So this all started, I'm going to kind of jump a little bit to get you and to get the premise, but this all started when I found out there is a podcast. You guys, there's a podcast about Smallville, which if you grew up in the 2000s, you know, okay. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you've been living under a rock or you weren't born then. So Smallville follows Clark Kent before he's Superman, gaining the superpowers, all of that, right? Great show. Great show. We're going to get into it. But to kind of give you an idea of like how we're going to kind of be mixing that little something different. Okay, so I had the biggest crush on Tom Welling when I was in high school. I remember the first time I saw the show, I would have been like maybe 12. It came out when I was like maybe 10, but I didn't see it till I was like about 12 because we didn't see it until there were a couple of seasons, and I think the third season was going to be premiering, and so all that summer they were doing reruns, and so from the beginning so that you could catch up, and so we caught up, and well, let me tell you, the first episode I was like, this is a great show, but then at the same time I was coming into that boy crazy, quote unquote. I was never boy crazy, but noticing boys for the first time for real. We talked about the whole Mortal Kombat thing from when I was little and how I was like, I don't know, but this was when I really started to be like, oh, okay, so when you like a boy, you think he's cute, like that, connecting what that's all about kind of thing. And like, oh, this is a TV personality that I think is cute. That was where I was actually making the connection of it. Anyway, said all that to say, I was just obsessed with the show. I loved it so much, and I'll get more into it, but that kind of started me. So, what shows did I grow up watching? What shows did I like the most? I was always a strange child. I always liked more serious shows. I liked my kids' shows, but I was that like 8-year-old watching Dharma and Greg and being like, are they going to be able to handle this? Like, are they going to be able to fix this? And like watching Judging Amy, like, oh my gosh, this is such a great storyline. And, like, I don't know, it just was always like that. So I was always into like a good story show. I probably the first one though that really caught my attention and kind of on the subject of like leading men I love. probably started with In a Heartbeat, which was on, I think, Disney Channel. I don't remember, but um, Shawn Ashmore was on that show, and I was just like, probably because my sister was more in that time period because she's 10 years older than me, so she was fully fledged into that type of a thing. But even as I got older, and even now, like he's on this mystery show with Candace Cameron Bure, not show, movie thing. There's a couple movies. And I'm like, oh my god, he looks so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yay. And like I hadn't seen him in really anything for a long time. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. Like I was so excited. And great movies too, by the way. But that was kind of like where my love of those kind of TV shows, those like real meaty TV shows came from. Then I saw Smallville. Oh my god. Oh my god. Great show. I love the storyline. I love the process of like, oh, now he has X-ray vision. Oh, now he can fly. And like all these things that like you know about Superman that now you're like, oh, it's kind of like makes you feel like the little kids in that like Santa Claus movie when they're like, oh, so that's how, like, that's kind of like you're learning his backstory in a really entertaining way. And there was also an element of, obviously, like I said, had a big crush on him. I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. But there's also this element of like, this is somebody who, like, getting into my teenage years, I was connecting with, the drama of it, and I was a big fan of like One Tree Hill. I didn't watch it as much, but it kind of like that was more what I was getting into at that point in my life. So it was cool that they had a little bit of the drama going into it, and I am also a really big fan of John Schneider, so I was like, oh my gosh. And so, like, kind of learning more about him and learning more about, like, what other movies some of the actors were in, and getting to, like, pick my favorite characters. And so it was really cool. And something else that, like, I guess progressed for me too was there was another character that I really got into, and that was Lex Luthor. On this show, it's interesting because, like, for me personally, I was never like a comic book reader, but like from what I did know, my brother was a big comic book reader. He's about like 5 years older than me, so he kind of would, like, as we watched, like, say certain things and be like, oh yeah, that's because he does this, or that's because he does that. And like we kind of get the idea even from like the older movies that I've seen bits and pieces of. I've never seen like a whole one, but I've seen like bits and pieces of them. I've probably more watched the new movies all the way through than anything, and I was never really a big fan of like the bumbling kind of like, I'm gonna get through Superman kind of Lex Luthor. This Lex Luthor was more of, and I say it, but I don't mean it in like a bad way. I mean it in like, it's almost like it really built on the story, but like almost an unhinged kind of thing of like, he would use like words like quid pro quo and like say things in a way that it was like, is this person completely stable? No. And even there comes a point in the show when he is institutionalized, which is like, what? That was for me one of the biggest moments of the show. Like, what? Like, it was crazy. And probably up there with the whole red kryptonite thing that happened. So for me, that really brought the show so much like depth to it, because you had all these layers of like, there was a little bit of comedy, there was a little bit of romance, there was a little bit of adventure. So that kind of like became one of my favorite shows. And I'll probably do a little shout out in this portion and put it in my stories, but I am so glad that I found the podcast for Smallville called Talkville. I was like, oh my gosh, they have a podcast for Smallville. Yes, I'm listening. So I like to listen to podcasts when I'm doing like cleaning or I'm doing like my yard work, things like that. I don't know, it just like gives me something to be distracted by because it's so tedious to do those things. And I mean, who doesn't love it? Like, I'll listen to a podcast, audiobook, music. But when I find a good podcast, I'm like, I gotta get to the next episode. So I'm trying to catch up and listen to all the episodes. But so far, I'm only on episode, I think, 4. But like I said, I was like, oh my gosh. And my two favorite characters are here. And I'm so excited. And the last episode, they had Kristen Kirk, who played Lana Lang. And okay, so it's so funny because I personally was like, oh yeah, they're going to be great together. Clark and Lana, they're going to be great together. And my brother's like, no, he marries Lois Lane. And I'm like, I know this. Okay, I know this. I grew up with the Dean Cain and who was it? I don't remember her name now. Oh no. But it was like the adventures of Lois and Clark and like, were they going to get married or was he going to go fight the aliens or whatever? And like, did they ever end it? I don't remember if they ever ended it, but I remember like all of us watching it. And so like I knew this, right? But it was just like I was so invested in these characters, and like I said, had a big crush on Tom Welling. I was like so into this show. It was just all great. Obviously, you know, was a big fan of like Cheaper by the Dozen, and I'm totally exposing myself here with this, but he was the reason that I watched the new version of The Fog. Because, okay, so personally, I'm not a scary movie person, don't like them. I don't get into it. I am more of the chick flick rom com kind of girl, and I'm happy to be that stereotype, but I was like, oh, he's going to be in this movie. I have to watch it. And funnily enough, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It actually wasn't as scary as the old version because my mom then was like, oh, you got to watch the old version. And she said she went like to the drive-in with her friends or something and saw it, and it was so scary, and it was. But I just remember like I was such a big fan of the show. And like, so I always watched like whatever movies I saw him in. I was like, ah, it's him. And funnily enough, later on, I got really into like The Flash and Arrow, and they did like a crossover. And when he came back, I probably screamed because I was so excited. And I you cannot pick a better, in my opinion, you could not have picked a better person to play this character. I, like I said, grew up with Dean Cain. Big fan, big fan. Loved the show. I remember bits and pieces of it and remember liking it a lot. And also, I don't remember his name, but when they did, was it Superman Returns when they find out he has like a kid? Um, that guy did a really good job. But it's still, there's just no person who could have done this character better. He just brought so much of that, like I said, I've never seen the whole movie, the old movies, all the way through, but that Christopher Reeves feel to the character, just personally from seeing the bits and pieces that I do remember seeing. And I know my mom had said too, like, it just reminded her so much of him. And I just personally think that that's a big deal. And I think that it just, especially for the time period, especially for the age that they were projecting, so well done. And can't say enough. Both of these characters, both Clark and Lex on the show, are so good. Like, you cannot, like I said again, cannot pick better characters, better actors for these characters. I don't know. It's amazing. um, and also during my teen years, something else came into my life, and that was my love of horses. So there was a show called Wildfire that it's such a good show. Oh my god. I already watched it again. I'm gonna watch it again. It's gonna be the third time I watch it, and it's great show. If you don't know, it's about a girl who was in like a juvenile home, and they had horses, and one of the horses became like her best friend, and she just loved him so much that when she left, she wanted him, and they were going to take him away or something like that. I don't remember exactly that part of it, but she wanted him, so she took him, and ends up on a farm with a family where she gets to keep the horse. And it's such a great show, and there's so much to it. There's so few guys on there too, but I was more into it for the show, like the story of the show. um I really think that the emotion of it was what I liked, and being 16, 17, that was like, I loved it. um Also during that time, it's really dumb. There was a show called Life with Derek on, I think it was Disney Channel, and it's a great show. It was so funny. It's about this family. It's almost like a Brady Bunch thing where like one family has this many kids, one family has this many kids. They get together, they get married, and then the family has to go together. And just like the antics that ensue. And I was a really big fan of Michael Cedar. I thought he was so cute, and I loved his character. I thought he was so funny, and but funnily enough, related to the character of the sister. Even though I wasn't the eldest, I related to her, like, just being so frustrated with living with siblings. But it was funny, and then it really kind of capped off my teenage years. That was when I started watching more like iCarly and stuff like that, just kind of like enjoying those funny shows that were actually like, you could feel good about watching them. Now I don't necessarily, knowing some of the things I know, but at the time, right? But then this is where I okay, so I graduated high school, and somebody started talking about Sherlock, which if you don't know this version, it has Benedict Cumberbatch, which, if you know me, I'm a big fan. I think he is such a good actor. Not necessarily a fan of all the movies or TV shows or whatever, but great actor. And I love this version of Sherlock. I watched, I think, the first 3 seasons. I don't think I got season 4, and I meant to watch it when it was available, and I missed it, and I was really upset. But regardless, I also at that time, like, that got me into British dramas, which led me to Downton Abbey. This show is to this day my favorite show. I love this show so much, and I cannot say enough You have to watch the show. It is so good. If you don't know what it's about, I'm glad I saved time because between Smallville and this, I knew I was going to take up time. I was trying to like, but this is about a very wealthy family in the time after the Titanic sank, going through the changes through the 1920s, which I love that time period. I think it's such an interesting time. And now they're into the 1930s, I think, with the movies. I think they're into 1930. But the show, it's about the family and their lives and their servants and their lives. And it's so good. My favorite two characters are Anna and Mr. Bates. I love them so much. I mean, upstairs you have Lady Mary, which I always love her, and Edith, which can we just have Edith be happy? Finally. We love her. We love her so much. And it's just such a great show. It's a great show. There's so much to unpack with it. I think for me, it's the continuous storyline. You're wanting to see the next episode. You're wanting to know what's going to happen. And something I love about British dramas is they're like mini movies. So your opening is like a movie. And then your episodes are at least an hour long, if not a little more than an hour, which is so cool because it gives you like this event. I remember every single season or series in Britain we call it series. We don't, they don't call it season, but for us here it helps us understand the season premiere was like an event. You got yourself together and you sat down and you really got cozy with it. I loved it. I've seen the first movie, have not seen the second movie, and there is a third movie coming out, and I'm so excited. But leading up to the first movie, it was great. They're all great. I really want to get like the box set, but now I kind of want to wait until the last movie comes out on DVD and just get them all. That's probably what I'll do. But I just 10 of 10. Could not pick better actors for these characters either. Could not have written it better. The costuming is the costuming. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Especially when they get into like that like real elegant 1920s, those like straight like flat line dresses and the headbands and the Gatsby of it all. It's just beautiful. And like I said, the story is perfect. And now I'd say I don't really have any shows that I can say are like, oh, this is my favorite show right now. Although there is one show that I did want to talk about, I did want to bring up. So I purchased PureFlix. I did a subscription with them because I personally hate all the programming nowadays. I think it's so gross, so disgusting. But PureFlix has some really great original shows. There is a show called County Rescue that is really, really good about, it kind of gives In a Heartbeat vibes, which, going back, yes. But there's also a show that's really intense and really cool, and I actually didn't think I was going to like it, but ended up getting really into it and binged the entire thing. It is called Vindicated. It is about police officers in this gritty town trying to track down all the bad guys, and it is so good. It kind of reminds me, there used to be this show called Third Watch that was like these people going out in the evening into the night on weekends, and it was really cool. Um, so yeah, so it's definitely something to check out if you have PureFlix. If you don't, get a subscription. It's really, really cool. There's a ton of different things on there. There's a lot of real, like just nice things to watch. And also, it's got this filter on it, so if anything does have a bad thing, it'll skip it out. So you don't see the bad things. You don't have the uncomfortable things. If you have kids, they have kids programming. It's all so cool. Yeah. So thank you for listening to me ramble about TV shows and guys a little bit. I thought this would be fun, kind of a sit down talk sort of vibe, and make sure you're tuning in because I have all kinds of topics that I like to talk about. I think this is going to be a great way for people to just kind of unwind and listen and or watch, and yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in, and stay connected. Bye, guys.